So I just ran into the people who were in front of me at the start, a couple of women. So I've turned back, but they said yes, the hard part is done. It's a little bit of up and flat, and you can either turn back or do the loop. So I did ask them, can you see the slip at any point? But it doesn't sound like they've done the full loop before. They come to the end and then go back, which, yeah, I don't know, depending on what I see, I guess we'll make a call on that. But it does loop around and come back, so we'll see what happens. I guess it's this way. So last 5 or 10 minutes since I met a couple of different people, it certainly has flattened out. Canopy's actually slightly sparser too. You would have noticed a bit more light coming through. I'm slightly less breathless. It's slightly more enjoyable, but this obviously is, I take it, the halfway point, because, you know, random picnic tables and all that, benches. And what have we got here? So Tawa Loop Track, so that's going the other way. Manawatu Gorge, and so this is, everyone who I've seen so far has either turned around and gone back, but we're going to do this way, so we can do the proper loop. The story of Whatonga, one of 3 recognized chiefs on board the Kurahopu Waka, which journeyed across the Pacific to Aotearoa, New Zealand, possibly as early as the 12th century. The Ngāi and Rangatani people trace their descendants from Whatonga. So the Rangatani people, that's the sort of local iwi in the Manawatu region. So that's cool. So I do recommend you check this out. Not sure what's down here. Oh, there's a gate. Oh, I can't miss this. Look at this. Almost didn't see this. So this is, by the look of it, a depiction of Whatonga. So art and pattern work on Whatonga. So the main pattern over the body of the artwork, a kōwhaiwhai known as Mangupare, hammerhead shark. It depicts the sea voyaging elements of Whatonga's story and how shark meat was used to sustain waka crew on long journeys. So this artwork, 6.2 meters high, 1.5 meters across, 1.2 meters deep. It's made of steel and it shall be able to withstand the elements. Well, certainly that is impressive. So Whatonga with his paddle there, and yeah, that's a very impressive statue. So that's a nice little bonus to come to the halfway point, of which there's a little bit of history here, art, and remembrance with Whatonga. So we can go back this way. We could go the wrong way, which would take us down the Manawatu Gorge path, but we'll go back, so 45 minutes back to the car park. That was cool. That's certainly the highlight of the walk. Unexpected, but very cool. That must have been a mission getting it here, even dragging the parts in if it was assembled here. That's, yeah. Anyway, onward. So I'm just conscious that they shut the gates to the Gorge car park at, okay, I'll get at 7, so it's 5:45, so hopefully we're back where we need to be at 6:30. I think it's actually, I've only been going for about 40 minutes, so even though that was taxing to say the least, we made good time. Ooh, what do we got here? Rapids Lookout. So White Horse Rapids Lookout, 15 meters, 1 minute to get there. I can actually see the lookout. That looks more like 5 meters and about 7 seconds to get here. Holy wow, that is impressive. I'm gonna get up on the so this is where the slip is, part of it at least. You can see I cleared a bit of it. That's the mighty Manawatu Gorge. You can kind of see where there was some rock protection. Obviously they've flagged that. Honestly, the amount of debris, I don't think we're going to get another look where the actual biggest part of the slip was, because it, you know, closed the road. It was, you know, all the way over the highway, and it was such a massive amount of material. And I'll try to find a figure online and I'll put it up on screen, but it was incredible. But this was the arterial route through this region, the Manawatu Gorge, very famous. And on the other side you can see there's still the, you know, the trains, the train tracks and all that. But yeah, they had to divert the road further up and go elsewhere. So I think they were saying at the initial time that it happened, it was $1 million a day in lost productivity because this road was closed. But you get a bit of this scale of the gorge. I'll just drop down here. Don't want to fall off. At the top there, I don't want to get too close. You see some of those wind turbines. Manawatu, you know, Palmerston North area, very windy, very good for wind power. Good renewable source. Always a lot of it around this area, but yeah, it's sort of, I'm not sure if you get a real scale, but it's a pretty impressive place, the Manawatu Gorge. I used to, when we'd come through in the car growing up as a kid, it was, you know, a bit of a white knuckle ride too, because if you see the road, it's pretty narrow. If you had a big truck barreling the other way, you know, it was, yeah, not a pleasant feeling seeing that coming directly at you, because there was no cheese grater wire in between or anything. There used to be a lot of accidents through here, but the decision was taken not to you know, try to reclaim and recover the road, because there was just such a massive volume. And I'm not sure if we're going to end up seeing that part here, but it's a shame. Actually, funny story, back in World War II, you had the Americans out here, and they were in Australia, New Zealand, all that sort of stuff. So there was no Japanese troops or anything that landed in New Zealand, but there was the odd submarine spotted. Don't know if it was German or Japanese, but when the Americans were here, there wasn't a lot for them to do. So they actually offered to blast, you know, to keep their skills sharp, to blast through the gorge, sort of nearby, through rock and all that sort of stuff, to create a tunnel. And they were turned down, and it would have been effectively a free tunnel, and it would have, you know, just helped keep the Americans busy as they sort of saw out the war, because, you know, obviously some of the action didn't really come this far. Everyone was prepared, there were some American troops and yada yada yada. But if they were to build a similar sort of tunnel that they were talking about 80 years ago, you're talking, you know, over $1 billion easily. And it would have been an expensive project then, but they had all the manpower and everything, all the TNT to do it. So they were turned down, as the story goes. I bet you they're kicking themselves for that. So this is actually the area that I grew up in, the Manawatu. So, but I've never really done any of the walking tracks around here. But gotta say, I've really enjoyed this one. The first part of it, you know, gut buster, but we got there. We got there. So some of the trees that we've been seeing, the Nico Palm, you see up here, I didn't know this, but it takes 40 to 50 years to begin to form a trunk and about 200 years to reach 10 meters tall. On average, 2 fronds are shed per year, leaving a leaf scar on the trunk, which can be used to give a rough indication of age since the trunk began forming. Wow. So these are already older than most living things. This one's pretty impressive. Onward. Can often be quite funny like that. You know, I've seen Nico Palms before. Never really sort of thought too much of them in terms of, you know, their life cycle and what happens to them, but 40 to 50 years to form a trunk, 200 years. So I mean, some of those are probably well over 100 years old by the look of it, maybe even closer to 200 for some. Here we go, we're coming out to the light at the end of the tunnel, literally. Got pretty dark in there, but do I just walk along the road? Does it matter? I don't think it matters. It's not open. So yeah, we can't see the slope, but it was massive. So you can imagine this sort of protection goes further up, but just a massive amount came down. The road was done. Done. Here we go up to the Manawatu River. Oh, just saw a fish rising. So key takeaways. This is a very good walk. We're about 5 minutes from the car park, if that. What's the time now? Let's just have a look. So we came in just after 5. 6:16. The Twitter updates there from my boxing channel. Okay. So we've done this. Says it was an hour and 45, but what we've done it in about, by the time we get to the car, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. A couple of small stops along the way. Certainly, if you've got kids, it's there are some seats and a few natural points to, like Tom's Lookout, have a bit of a break. I wasn't really sure because I got in it just after 5. I wasn't sure if it was a legit hour 45 to do it there and back, the loop track, which is just over 3 k's, or if it was going to be like this, where it was, you know, the generous amount of time, but it took less. Yeah, so the vehicle's still there. Hopefully it's not broken into. That can be one of the perils about leaving it public car park. But if you're into good walks, over an hour long, if you're passing through the Manawatu, this is a really good one. And as you saw, that statue of Whātonga, that was impressive, very impressive.